Again, former Congressman Bob Barr joins us. Let's go through all those points, sir. But first off, the election, the Tea Party victories. What do you think that says to the establishment?
Well, first of all, Alex, great to be with you and your listeners once again. It's always great to get into these topics with you, because not only do you understand them, but your listeners do as well. They understand the importance of the fundamental principles that we're talking about here. It was a strange election, not only in my race for the 11th district here in Georgia, but in a couple of other races in Georgia, and I noticed elsewhere as well. Anybody who had any experience or prior service in Washington, such as I did, having served, as you mentioned, as the first to call for William Jefferson Clinton to be impeached back in the mid and late 1990s. Anybody who had any experience up there was labeled, as my opponent labeled me, as the establishment. Now, anybody who knows me knows that, I'm anything but the establishment, but that was truly a deciding factor. Jack Kingston, for example, even though Jack Kingston, former member of the Appropriations Committee, and he was and is still a sitting member of Congress, he gave up his House seat to run for the Senate. And I think he suffered the same thing, even though he truly was an incumbent. But there still are a lot of issues out there. I remain just as committed to fighting for the Constitution and the causes and the principles that it represents as you do. Whether I'm in office or not, I certainly would have enjoyed serving the people of America once again in the House, to use the background, the experience that I have to fight against increases in government power and limitations on individual liberty. Didn't get that chance this time, but I'm continuing to fight the good fight from the private sector.
Well, sure. I mean, it'd be like not voting for Ron Paul if he ran again, because he'd already been in there. I mean, I see it as overall a positive sign that people are really fed up, but it still shows that they're not overall educated, though, on how to, in some cases, go with somebody that has experience and will actually go after people. I mean, as a prosecutor, I would guess that's why you had the cojones to do that. I mean, it's obviously dangerous to try to impeach a sitting president, especially Slick Willie. And these new Tea Party people that have gotten in, they better deliver, or they're going to be in deep trouble with their constituents.
You're absolutely correct. And, I love the Tea Party movement. I think it's very healthy. We have some very strong Tea Party groups here in Georgia. I mean, Jenny Beth Martin, the head of Tea Party Patriots, is here in Georgia, and got her start in politics working in one of my campaigns back in 2002. There are some folks that are involved with the Tea Party that just don't quite understand that we need to use those Tea Party values in conjunction with people who know how to move them forward. At the same time as we need people up in Washington who have the courage to say no to government spending, government power. At the same time, we do need some people up there who understand how to move our constitutional agenda forward, and that's what we're missing in a lot of these cases.
Well, the real battle begins. What do you expect Obama to now do that he's a lame duck? I mean, we're seeing it. Unprecedented power grabs. Even Krauthammer saying it's time to impeach him. Turley, who's a liberal, says that he's tripled the abuses of Bush. I mean, if he opens the borders to all the illegals, which he's already done, but does an executive order, if he keeps, shutting off power plants and all these other executive actions and going after our guns, I mean, this is outrageous.
It truly is. As bad as Bill Clinton was, and he was a bad president. There is no way of sugarcoating that, certainly. But as bad as he was, he did not have the deep-seated ideological arrogance that is at the core of Barack Obama. Bill Clinton was very much a narcissist. I mean, as long as he was happy and got the things that he wanted and was able to use the perks of power, whether it was first as the governor of Arkansas to his own benefit and then as president of the United States to his own benefit. He was happy. He was a happy camper, as long as he could have the women and so forth, and travel and whatnot. Barack Obama is a very, very different animal. This man has more hubris and arrogance than anybody else that I've ever come across in public life. He truly believes that he is the chosen one, that because he was elected and then reelected as president, that puts him in a plane above everybody else in the country, including even members of his own party. You talk with Democratic members of the House and the Senate in private, and a lot of them will say, this guy, this president, won't even come up to the Hill or get on the phone with us to work with us. He simply tells us what to do because he's the president. Now, as a lame duck, so to speak, who beginning in January will no longer have either house of the Congress under his thumb, he will simply shift gears, not worry about going to Harry Reid for anything, and simply use the power that he believes he has and can wield as president, quite regardless of whether or not there is any constitutional or historic basis for what he's doing. We are entering, Alex, a very dangerous period in American history with this man.
And that's why I wish that Ron Paul was still in Congress. I wish you were there as well, because I don't even see any of these new people, a lot of them that are great folks, challenging Boehner, challenging McConnell. I mean, they need to be putting heat on them to go after Obama and to rein him in and block him. I know they filed a lawsuit, but, you're the former congressman and a former federal prosecutor. What is the proper move in Congress right now, and what would you be doing to try to pressure Boehner and others to take that action?
We're reminding them that they in the House and in the Senate have a constitutional responsibility, not a political responsibility, but a constitutional responsibility to ensure that within the legislative branch, and that includes appropriations of all funds that are used by the executive branch, they have an absolute responsibility to ensure that the law is being followed, that the intent of the legislation passed by the Congresses and signed by presidents is carried out, not just the letter, but the intent of the law, and to remind the Speaker and the others in leadership positions in the House and the Senate that there are indeed not only steps that can be taken, but must be taken to stop the expenditure of any taxpayer dollars for actions that are unconstitutional by this president. This notion, I saw somewhere that one of the top Republican leaders in the House was saying, well, we can't stop appropriated funds from being used for Obama to carry out his illegal immigration orders because they use funds from fees. I mean, that's just absolute nonsense. Every one of the departments, offices, individual positions in the executive branch is funded through appropriations passed by law by the Congress. And no funds can be used under our Constitution, but as have been authorized and appropriated by the Congress. The Congress absolutely can deny any funds from being used for any particular purpose, such as carrying out an executive order that is unconstitutional. And this notion that, well, we can't do it is
Sure.
It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, Alex.
Well, they also lie, because I've studied it, I know you have as well, under Bush Sr. and under Reagan, when they did executive actions, it was to line up working with Congress and with laws passed in Congress for the previous amnesties that were targeted and much smaller, but also criticized. This is the president operating against the Congress, just like he's doing on carbon taxes and CO2, just like he's doing on military action, just like he's doing on gun control. I mean, on so many issues, he's just doing whatever he wants.
And Congress just sort of sits back and says, "Thank you, sir. May we have another, sir?" And every time they do that, in other words, every time the Congress does nothing in the face of a president essentially thumbing his nose at the Congress, saying, "I am not going to follow a law passed by Congress," or "I am going to follow a course of action that Congress specifically did not authorize, simply because I can," and dares the Congress to do anything. Every time the Congress just sits back and does nothing, it moves that unconstitutional ball down the field by setting a further precedent. This is why, one of the things that we're doing at Liberty Guard, and I appreciate you mentioning our libertyguard.org site, is we have a site called lameduckdynasty.org. To highlight the importance right now during this lame duck session of the citizenry getting involved and putting pressure on the House and Senate Republican leaders to stop this. So we're encouraging people not just to go to libertyguard.org, but to lameduckdynasty.org and helping us out. Spread the word. This is a very dangerous time.
In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force from InfoWars Life.